Okay, so you got it all back together again. Well, minus the pipe, saddlebag, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, got some things I just want to touch base with you on. Oh man, where's our valve cap? What happened to our valve cap? Okay, we're gonna put this valve cap back on. Check your air pressures periodically, even with these brand new ones, tires and stuff like that, especially with these brand new ones. Keep track of them, you know. Like I said, I follow the spec on the side of the tires, so I always know how much air I run in my tires. 42 now in this back one, so I'll keep it right at 42. Go in the mountains, check your tire. I always check my tire when I'm crossing the country. That's serious business. Good air pressure, monitoring those air pressures. I'll do things like one of my favorite games. You see that crack in that driveway? See that crack? What do they call that right there? That in the concrete they make those cracks like that for the concrete to swell and stuff. Well, when I'm going down the road, I'm searching for cracks like that all the time, because I know what my tires sound like. If you listen, pay attention, put your earphones down, turn off your radio, and cut out the texting and all that kind of stuff. Nobody texts when they're riding a motorcycle. But and pay attention. Just pay attention and listen to your tires sing while they're going down the road. I can do it for hours and watch the surrounding and smell the smells and all the mountains and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, just pay attention to your tires going thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. And I do this all the time when I'm touring. This is how I monitor my air pressures. I don't have no fancy gauges, you know, a dashboard with it. Oh, we got a low air pressure in the back tire. I pay attention to the thump thump. And if you do that, you start hunting little cracks, and you'll find yourself, you know, I'll have my wife, and we'll all be geared up, and we'll be out in Montana somewhere, and I'll be going along in the middle of the day. I took my air pressure in my tires. I'll just look for a crack in the road. Thump, 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 thump. And I've saved my tires numbers of times and got myself out of many bad situations by doing this. If you hear a thump, thud, you'll know it. And you'll be going like, oh, time to check the air pressure. Get her pegged. Get her pegged. So that's air pressure. That's number one. Number two is don't be a grape ape. I call them grape apes. I went to school with this guy in high school. Back in the 60s, we had shop classes, and I had them all. I could stand like English or American literature. My American lit teacher in high school, Mrs. Baldridge was her name, just the sweetest lady you could ever imagine. She's like, you know, young cowpuck. My name was Scott, by the way. You know, Scott, really, you come every day, you know, well, 90% of the time, whenever I felt like going sometimes. But I talked to your shop teacher, Mr. Mumau was his name. Great guy, just a great guy. And I aced all of my electronics and welding and machining and on and on and on and on and on. But then when it came to English and American Lit, so she's like, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just go to shop class, you know, extra hour a day in shop class. How's this sound? And just come in here and take the quizzes and take the tests and take them, and I'll pass you on, even if it's like a D- or whatever. And I'm like, I'm out of here. To shop. So, but there was this guy, we called him Bear. He was a grape ape. Don't be a grape ape. He was a grape ape. I'm telling you, the guy had arms the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and really, truthfully, had no feel for tightening stuff down. He could take a 3/4 inch case hardened steel bolt and snap it off. All right, don't be a grape ape. I've had these things. You see that axle nut on here? That is a crown. That's a crown nut, king nut, I call them, with a pin through it. And we were talking about this before. Notice this. Notice I got that space I was telling you about. That space is between the swing arm and that spacer. That's because that was that stupid little roll. That was that stupid little thing. No wonder I'm always busted up. That space is like, it's kind of a little bit of adrenaline rush here. That space is what you want. You want to end up with that. See, now the swing arm isn't being squeezed. The swing arm is in a relaxed position, and I got it cinched down with this bolt, okay? So the axle now is captured in that swing arm by that bolt pinching it down, right? You got me there, okay? So that axle isn't going to go anywhere, all right? I've had these, dead serious. I've gotten these bikes that people have worked on, that crown nut down there, I swear I'm not joking, had 200 foot-pounds plus of pressure on it. I had to put a wrench on it. I had to put a half-drive socket on it, with a ratchet, with a 3-foot piece of pipe just to break that loose, okay? Now, people think that they're doing themselves some great big favor by tightening stuff like that because they're afraid that nut's going to come loose and you're going to lose your axle. That nut is pinned in, and the axle is captured by that pinch bolt, you know? Just, all I'm saying is just use a little bit of common sense. You don't be a grape ape, you know? It does you no favor whatsoever having that much pressure on those bearings inside there and stuff, even though they're captured with a spacer in between them and all that good kind of stuff. It's still, there are absolute positive torque wrench specs for all of every nut and bolt and everything else. There are specs, and you can use a torque wrench, you know, that will keep you from being a grape ape if you have that, or if you have a soft touch, you know. I mean, but for me, really, truthfully, the soft touch guys, you can use a little bit of Loctite if you want to, or whatever, you know, and have a soft touch. You'd be okay, maybe sometimes, but boy, don't be a grape ape, okay? All right, so there's that lecture. Oh, grape ape. Oh, my goodness sake. Look at the mess I made when I flipped over backward. It'll teach me to try to ride a wheelie in my little stoolie. Let me see here. What else was I going to tell you about? Oh, that brake. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Now, I finished washing off, like I showed you earlier, with the pinch and the rag and cleaning off that rotor, right? And I got to have my stool back. Wow, perfect. This little stool, by the way, see this little plastic stool? That's a cheap Chinese thing. If that thing sets in the sun, you guys in Arizona might want to pay special attention to this. Don't use one of these plastic ones. Literally, it'll just kind of like fade. You'll be sitting on it working on your bike, and if it gets hot because it's plastic and it's not broken or anything, it'll just kind of like crush like a bucket, like a plastic bucket. And not good. So, all right. So anyway, so I got the pads. Now they're pushed back out. I took the pedal up for a few times, got her back out where it'll stop the back wheel. See that back wheel? Here's something that you always want to do. You want to make sure that you're starting out without your brake sticking, okay? Now, if you just take this pedal, now watch, I'll put my foot on there. I'm looking at it through the camera, so I'm not really doing a very good job there. But spin the wheel, push down on the pedal, and like, you can't move it, and then I'm going to release the pedal from my foot and watch this. See that? Nice and easy. And you should be able to, like, stop it like that and release the pedal and roll her again. Just make sure that caliper's not hanging up. Always do that when you're doing, after you've done brake work, okay? Hey, by the way, if they drag and they get hot, sometimes they'll lock up a back brake. You can smell the pads burning or whatever. If you just take a hunk of wood or even a boot heel, sometimes do it, and smack this caliper right there, like that. You don't want to do it with a metal hammer because you don't want to wreck your caliper. But that'll knock the pistons loose. Sometimes you got to hit them pretty hard. That'll knock the brake pads loose and free them up. All right, now that's just a little. See how much freer that is now? Okay, there's no brake drag at all. I've done that before. Had one that literally, I mean, just get red hot. That rotor can get red hot. Okay, no joke. So what you do is you smack it like I just said, free it up a little bit. And you know, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and it's stuck, you just beat it like that until it freezes, and then ride it. You can ride it using just your front brakes or just your back brakes, and stay away from the sticky one till you can get this apart and clean those pistons like I showed you earlier. Okay, or fix the brake system, whatever. Let me see what else. Boy, I think we're ready. See, I got this tight. I got my caliper mount tight. I got that clean. I cleaned up the rotor again, like I showed. Mentioned it. My brakes functioning properly. My tires balanced, greased, and king nuts on. Okay, so I think we're ready to. Finish this thing up. Put the muffler back on it again. Saddlebag back on it again. And then I think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to warm this thing up. I think I'm going to warm up the bike, and I'm going to toss on the sync, the vacuum gauges, and check the sync on the carburetors, because I just put new, new plugs and stuff in it. So I like to do that anyways. Take 5 minutes, you know. But I'll make a video of that too. Maybe somebody will appreciate that. So get up.